Hey everybody, this is Christian from Blue vs. Orange TCG, coming back to you this time with a match to record showcasing the Character Quest deck that I built for you last video. As you can see, my lineup is Snapdragon, Horrible, Kreb, and Night Racer, going up against ATP2 Aerial Bots. Aerial Bots got some new toys in set 2 of ATP, of the Alphatron protocols, and it'll be interesting to kind of see how they hold up. Or how Snapdragon ends up holding up against him. So they're going to be doing the standard move of flipping Silverbolt to bot mode so that they can trigger the acceleration ability for the other aerial bots. And he's going to be sending an air raid, or that's Skydive, my bad. He did flip a blue-black, which triggers Silverbolt's ability to flip the attacking aerial bot to another mode, and he's going to be attacking for, it looks like, 3 Pierce 3. It's going to take 2 because the Snapdragon has Sturdy here. This is going to be really interesting. There's 2 blue-black decks that are going to be battling against each other. Aerial bots have a little bit more usable support, I would say, for the blue-black archetype versus, I'd say, this deck. But I think this deck is going to showcase at least a little bit what I'm going for with what I wanted my deck to do. There are problems with the deck list. As I mentioned before, I was building it, there were things I was worried about, and you're going to see it here in this video. I'm going to try to make a point of it. So I'm going to be flipping Horrible. We're going to be starting off with a Fusion Borer onto Night Racer. Nice strong play. Probably one of the strong, unfortunately, probably one of the stronger plays that this deck can make here. We're just going to be hitting Silverbolt with one with the Horrible trigger. We're going to be sending Night Racer into Skydive here. And we did flip an orange, so we're 7 Pierce 3. Looks like we're just taking the Pierce 3. Yep. I think there's some spicy cards in the Aerialbot players list. We got a Valiant Efforts in there, which is pretty interesting for Silverbolt, but it is also a ping 2 once they get to Superion, because Superion is ranged. Looks like our Aerialbot player is just kind of in the tank here. Let's see. Something to note that's really interesting is Snapdragon here, actually, his bot mode ability to kind of stunt draws a little bit doesn't come up too much here, but his alt mode ability here is actually coming up quite a bit. There are some cards in Aerial Bots that do want to either A, recover, or actually move damage. There are quite a few cards that move damage that Aerial Bots got, and Snapdragon is actually completely turning that off. So Snapdragon actually is putting his work as being a floodgate for this deck list here. It looks like he's going to send Fireflight in with a Sturdy Javelin, going to pitch it at, let's see, who's he going to pitch it at? Looks like he's going to do it into Snapdragon. Let's see. Looks like he's just going to send it to the Night Racer. That's a good play because Snapdragon does have Sturdy in that mode, so he would just be doing one with the Sturdy Javelin versus the 2 that he'd be aiming to do. And he's going to get that Pierce 2 in there, so we're going to go to 2 ourselves. Alright, we're going to draw. As you can see, our lineup's starting to get a fair amount of damage kind of pushed onto us. I'd say we're still fairly behind here in terms of damage race. We're going to espionage and see what's in the hand. Looks like we got an axe, 2 War Patricians, an aerial defense armaments, and a smoke cloak. I believe I take the axe here, which I think is the best play here because Airbots definitely need weapons to kind of push a lot of damage. Yep, there we go. We got the axe. The War Patricians are pretty mean, but it doesn't do a whole lot because Snapdragon's on the field. And then the Aerial Defense Armaments is good, but the move that it does when you get Superion isn't going to happen with Snapdragon either. So axe is definitely the most valuable play here. We're going to put an axe onto my Horrible and then flip to move the damage over, which is a pretty strong play here. Those 3 axes that we put into the main board coming into play. So I'm not sure if it comes up now or in later, but one of the things about my list that I really didn't like at first, oh man, we got Pierce 5, it looks like. That's pretty good. One of the things I didn't like about our list here, just Pierce 4? Okay, never mind then. Is the number of actions that we run in the board. I mentioned earlier during our initial deck building that I think the number of actions to upgrades is going to mess us up, and I think it definitely showed in this matchup from what I remember. I'm not sure if it shows up here because we do have an axe in hand, but after a while, I just wasn't able to pull any upgrades, and I just had a handful of actions that I could only play one a turn. It ended up stunting me pretty badly. He's gonna put the Smoke Cloak onto the Fireflight. Seems like a fine play to me. I think he definitely has to put some damage here onto Horrible. Our Illbot players has a kind of an interesting lineup here, because instead of playing the Air Raid in the main board, he actually has Air Raid in the KO and Alpha Bravo in the main here. So it's gonna be interesting. He's gonna send Silverbolt in. Looks like he plans on combining, because he does have 5 characters in the bot mode that he needs, and he's just gonna send the strongest character in. Looks like for Pierce 2. Silverbolt does give, in bot mode, he does give each Aerobot Pierce 1, naturally. And so if you've seen like some characters like flip 2 blacks but still get Pierce 3, that is why. All the Airbots have natural Pierce 1 because of Silverbolt. And I missed what he picked up there. It might have been a War of Attrition for a scouting mission, and I believe he's going to combine here. Yep, he's combining, so it'll be kind of hard to see the damage counters here because of just like webcam and everything else, but he does combine with 18 damage on him, 18 to 43. The stratagem does give him plus, plus 4 health to get him to 43 total health. It's a pretty large chunk to chew through, especially with natural tough 2. The 1 defense though definitely makes kind of puts that at a bit of like a balanced feel, for lack of a better word. Alright, we're gonna draw here. So now we have our Snapdragon staring on this pretty scary Superion. He did put the let's see, did he not put the damage on? Oh no, he put the damage onto Snapdragon, it looks like, but he instead of taking the 4, he only took 3. Let's see, we're gonna point position the Night Racer, force him to go into her, and then we're gonna ping the Superion. That's a pretty good play. Saves our main 2 guys, Snapdragon and Horrible, from taking more damage than necessary. Swinging them just for 7 Pierce 1. We'll probably just be getting the Pierce 1 in. Our opponent's cards are flipping around in weird ways, so let's see. Let's see, 2 for the white, and then tough 3. Yeah, we'll just be doing the Pierce 1 here. So these games are a bit grindy, as you can kind of expect from Blue Mirror, especially because like the blue-black mirrors, they often don't rely on hitting for fairly big stat numbers, for like hitting for like 12 or 13 or even like 15 sometimes. You're just going for the smaller Pierce numbers. That, at least that's what our list was going for. And as you can kind of tell, we're not hitting for very consistent Pierce numbers, which is also another problem with this type of list here. So he's going to play the Aerial Defense Armaments. It gives Superion tough 1 and +1 attack in the utility slot. Normally he can repair and move a damage, but Snapdragon prevents both those effects, so he's just going to swing in. For a big number here, we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I only flip 1 blue. So taking 7, that does get Night Racer exactly. That's rather unfortunate. That's rather unfortunate for us. Granted, I don't think having the Night Racer die early necessarily mattered too much, because you probably could just get it out of combat here anyway. But still, it's rather unfortunate to have happen. So now, let's see. Kind of have to choose this first turn attack carefully. I think, yeah, we'll definitely do the move. Again, you can kind of see I didn't play 2 black cards. I didn't have any in hand, so like, again, it just like it shows like the inconsistency of like the Horrible plays as well, and you'll see that a lot more often. I do have the axe in hand, so I can swing. He does have a dad set, so I'm just getting in for Pierce. Luckily, I do have Pierce 3, so we'll be getting at least a small chunk of damage, and slowly whittling away that Superion. But yeah, I think if you look at my list, I run like 18 to 20 Black Pip cards in the list, but a lot of them are actions. Excuse me. A lot of them are actions, and so either I can only play like 1 a turn usually, or I just didn't have any in hand that felt like worth playing at that time. So Horrible here just kind of plays off as like just kind of a weaker 7 drop here that I have, which is unfortunate because Horrible does put in damage when he kind of gets going. I think it also shows we only are running one Gaming Crash, so I think also like our ceiling for ping damage is also pretty low. All things considering, looks like he's just gonna swing in. Defending for 4, it looks like. Let's see, what is he? He got there. He's got 7 pierce through 5, so I'll be taking 4, goes down to 3, goes to 8, I believe. Yep, we'll be going to 8. Okay, that sturdy is very incredible. So like one thing that's really that I've come up with in playtesting is Snapdragon, even though if his effects don't always like come about, like his floodgates cancellation effects, he's still a really hardy body to get through. Having the tough one, having the sturdy in alt mode makes him like a really like make him kind of an annoying like bodyguard for the rest of your team. And so like you can actually focus like damage through one of your like your secondary like 8 or 7 drop here, and send Snapdragon in early, which is very nice. We do smelt him. I think he's just gonna get rid of the smoke cloak here. It's probably what I would do. I don't think the tough one is necessarily helping too much. Yeah, the +1 attack is definitely much better to have here, I would argue. And he's just gonna swing in for pierce a bunch. Or no, I'm swinging in here. I'm sorry, I got confused there. He's defending for a bunch, so he's just gonna be taking 2 here. You know, it's really interesting. So in terms of like the meta game with these 2 decks, I would definitely consider both these more rogue decks currently in the format. Belligerence is still pretty heavy in the format, and Belligerence is definitely Superion's greatest weakness, for lack of a better word. He's gonna send a Javelin, dealing 3 to probably Snapdragon, just goes to 2. So he goes to 11, gonna try to KO me here. But yeah, so Superion, even though he has very strong effects, I don't think you can deny that Superion's like effects and support that he got is very strong. He has a weird combination of being rather slow still. Maybe slow isn't the right word to put it. How would I put it? The decks that he's really good against don't pop up too much in the metagame currently, even though we are in a bit of a control format. There's a lot of mid-range decks, which Superion definitely struggles against. The Pierce is very relevant, but it's also at the same time being 1 tall and only getting to like, if you don't have a weapon, only being able to get to like Pierce 4 or 5 or so per swing doesn't necessarily KO guys enough in combat, and you take so much damage out of that. And again, Belligerence is Superion's worst enemy, of course, with only 1 natural defense. He ends up taking quite a bit of a beating here in comparison to his Decepticon combiner counterpart Menasor right now. So I would definitely put Superion in a rogue category. And then of course Snapdragon. Snapdragon hasn't seen a whole lot of play for pretty much similar reasons. He's definitely an awkward character to build around, so I would still put him here at a rogue category here. So we're just gonna be swinging out. I scouting mission myself. I remember drawing not very useful things here, so we're just gonna go in for the swings and see what we can get. Only 1 black pip on attack, so we're just a 6 pierce 3. Again, not a bunch of damage. Put some. I can't see anymore because his dial's out of range. So hopefully we can see here. For a little bit more pierce here, we get 1 extra pierce. As you can, and like I mentioned before, I'm only getting like 1 to 2 pierce extra black pips per swing. I think that's also like another issue with blue-black as an archetype, right? It's so reliant on pretty much every keyword in existence. It needs tough to be able to defend pretty well. It needs pierce, obviously, because that's your main damage output. And blue-black decks really require a lot of bold, because you need to be able to flip a lot of black pips on attack if you're going to be going like, if you're going to be constructing your deck in that way. And so it's really tough space. Excuse me, I keep yawning, oh my goodness. It's really tough space to put into the deck when you haven't already put so many things like Axe and Opportune Offensive in the list, which are good. They're good cards, but they're cards that, or at least Axe, I should say. Like Axe and Boars, a lot of other decks can run it, and they tend to just kind of play it a little bit better than us. Like even though our Snapdragon's at 1 health right here, we're still pretty behind in terms of the damage race here, just because we're not really able to push any extra damage here. So he's gonna Gaming Crash the Snapdragon, which is gonna take him out here. Puts the Superion at 34, it looks like. 36, my bad. He's at 36, and he's just going to swing into the Horrible. It looks like to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see, 10 Pierce, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, so that takes out a Horrible, and that's pretty much game. Kreb is not going to be able to get there, and I think you see it. I just scooped up here. Yeah, there we go. So that game, it definitely showed. We did not put out a lot of damage. I mean, even early game, we got a little bit of damage with like an early fusion bore and some early good black pips into the little guys. But once we combined it as Superion, we just like ran out of steam. We didn't have a lot of good damaging cards in our hands. So here's our Lord Megatron sideboard plan. So this is one of two avenues that the original deck list can go into. We could either go with 3 wide into Lord Megatron, or we can go 2 tall with Lord Megatron and Snapdragon. We are trying the 2 tall version. I don't think this is actually the correct choice per se, going into a heavy Pierce list like Superion, but I definitely think it was worth trying out. Excuse me. Goodness. I think it was definitely worth trying out though, considering our support characters, again, they just weren't doing a whole lot of efforts. They just weren't putting in a whole lot of work throughout the course of the game. Once Horrible, like Lord Megatron is oddly flip intensive, and so Horrible wasn't really going to make a great partner for him in that scenario, so I think we just wanted to stick to this route here. So we're going to start off our game here. We're going to go first, and we're going to flip Lord Megatron, and we're going to, let's see, I think I'm looking for his stratagem out before me. So he does have a stratagem that he got in ATP 2 that lets him, that makes it so that while Lord Megatron's on the field, every time one of your Decepticons flips from alt to bot, each player mills the top 3 cards of their deck, so I'm going to mill 3. And right away, the Scoundrel Blaster goes bye-bye. So I'm only running 1 Scoundrel Blaster in the list, which I think is definitely a mistake. And I knew that, but only 1, and I see it go right away, so I'm not going to be able to put that onto my Megatron, which is rather unfortunate. I did have a bit of a jump cut there. I lost connection there, but that just happens in the webcam world, but it's totally okay. We just jump right back into it, and we're attacking for 7 Pierce 3 into Fireflight, so not a terrible first time swing, not terrible. So the goal of the Lord Megatron sideboard here into this plan is because the combiners end up going through their deck really quickly, not just with Lord Megatron's ability as well, but just by virtue of them all having bold 1 and a lot of them having like extra tough. You're going to be able to trigger the Lord Megatron effect fairly quickly. So here he plays, he's got a Matrix turn 1 onto his Silverbolt, so that's incredible right there, because now the Silverbolt is going to be able to give each of his other aerial bots bold, +1 attack and Pierce 2, because the Pierce 1 of his ability, and now the Pierce 1 off the Matrix. So now we have some pretty damaging little guys here. Now it's going to be really interesting to go up against here. So he's going to be sending in Skydive. He gets the trigger, and he's going to be attacking for, it looks like 4 Pierce 4. Because oh yeah, definitely 4 Pierce 4. All I needed was 2 black pips here, so should be interesting. Thankfully, Snapdragon does have the sturdy. It looks like I'm confused. Like, how'd you get the Pierce? I must have missed the Matrix when I was playing this in game here. Had a pretty terrible defense flip anyway, so it didn't even really matter. We're going to be taking the 3 damage, it looks like. Yeah, we're just confirming all the Pierce numbers right here. There we go. Looks like I'm trading out the Reflex Circuits for an Espionage. Makes sense. Again, this is a very Pierce heavy list, so the armors like Reflex Circuits aren't really going to be doing a whole lot for us. And they're all ranged and are specialists anyway, so we aren't going to get a bonus at all. Looks like I'm mulling over what to do. We're gonna Espionage here, calling out blue again, I'm sure. And hostility, Smoke Cloak, and a Dad. I think I definitely take the Dad here. And hostilities is pretty good if we had a Belligerence in hand, but I think the Dad is just overall a lot better since we're kind of moving away from the Pierce and going a little bit more into raw numbers. Again, Again, my main deck isn't necessarily suited for this Lord Megatron sideboard, but I think that's something we're going to correct in the future, just because the Lord Megatron sideboard felt very, very strong in this list especially. So let's see. I'm probably going to ask him. Yeah, I asked him how many cards are in his scrap, and the reason why I asked this is because I want to make sure that I get the shuffle while Lord Megatron is in bot mode. And so I know he has probably still like 30 cards at least in his deck. And so I'm trying to calculate like every time he flips for cards, which is gonna be like bold 1, so it's at least 9 cards that he's gonna be flipping without whites considering, and his draw. So it's gonna be around 10 cards that he's gonna be milling out here. So I do have the safe flip to alt mode, which makes him mill more cards here. Because Lord Megatron, when you flip to alt mode, your opponent mills top cards of the deck equal to his defense, which in this case would be 4. And we're just gonna be accelerating through his deck a lot quicker. And this ability is really strong because it skips greens. So you see that he skipped a War Patrician and a Noble's Blaster earlier from Lord Megatron's mill effects, which is probably one of the strongest pieces of Lord Megatron, is the fact that you can just skip on greens for your opponent. You do it yourself sometimes, but the fact that that can happen is it can be really, really strong in these control mirrors, since greens become a lot more prevalent. So we get a Valiant Effort here. Whew. So Valiant Effort is interesting. It can only be played onto Silverbolt for the +3, since Superion himself is not a leader. So this Silverbolt's actually going to be attacking for a ton of damage here, because he's base 4, 5 of the Matrix 8. He's base 8 right now, and he's going to get it to attack all in here. The Valiant Effort is still really good when you have Superion, though, because Superion's effect in the Stratagem effect makes the first direct damage you do each turn deal an extra. So you could still play the Valiant Effort for basically a free range to deal 2 damage without any restrictions like Marksmanship or Gaming Crash does, which is still pretty useful. And in this scenario, it just makes his Silverbolt like really big here, which I think is actually a really good card to put in here. I think it's something people who run Superion should be considering more of, because you can definitely push for more early game damage this way. Let's see. So he gets the trigger here. He's gonna send in Alpha Bravo. I'm guessing he's gonna get the trigger here. And he actually misses, so he still gets the Pierce 2 from Silverbolt in the Matrix, but he's actually not going to be able to flip to bot mode this time, so it's actually going to put him behind an extra turn, which is good for me here. Let's see, yep, I'm just taking the 1. I think our Airbot players should be putting all this damage into Lord Megatron. The Sturdy on Snapdragon just makes so much of your early damage just feel so much worse because of the Sturdy here, and you're going to be swinging for at least like 2 damage each time because if you have because of his current field setup right now. I think putting all that into Lord Megatron would be a better game plan here, but I can also see why you want to put it into Snapdragon, just so you can have your aerial defense armaments and other move damage cards be turned back on. Yep, he's going to be swinging for 8 Pierce 3, it looks like. And I flip 1, 2, 3. Looks like I'll be taking 4 here with 3 defense plus 30. So Snapdragon's at 10. We survive a fairly big onslaught here with our characters, which obviously I'm pretty happy about. But we still have a long ways to go. We only have 4 damage on his board so far, so we need actually a pretty big damage push right now. Excuse me. So what's probably going to happen is we're probably going to flip the Lord Megatron here. Let's see. Or maybe I don't. Actually, I'm pretty sure I remember this turn. I believe this is a misplay on my part here of what's going to happen. Kind of in the tank here. I'm kind of in a, I don't want to say I'm panicking, but I'm definitely like I'm in the tank of over like how much damage I have not done to his team currently, and I'm trying to think of ways to push damage early on before he gets to Superion, which I believe was the wrong choice here. As you're probably going to see here, whenever I'm done shuffling my cards here. Someone says I fiddle with my dice too much when I'm playing. I can kind of see it now as I'm rewatching this video here. Let's see. Looks like I'm doing some math here. I'm not sure what upgrade that is on the Alpha Bravo. So we do flip to Lord Megatron. We're gonna mill 3. Each of us are. So there goes 2 more greens. Fantastic. That's what we want to see. And then I believe I put down, yep, an Energon Axe onto the Snapdragon. I wish I saved this Energon Axe for Lord Megatron later on, because I think it would have been more useful. I wasn't going to... I really wanted to be able to put the axe onto Lord Megatron to be able to at least say, for when the trigger hits, to put 7 onto a character, which would have been a lot better, but I think I just really wanted the extra damage push here, and I thought Snapdragon was going to be able to live another hit here. So we're going to see how this plays out. So he's going to draw 1. Let's see. All he has to do is flip Alpha Bravo and combine. I'm not sure if he runs the Enigma or not. He's got Nose Buster, and he's got another Valiant Effort. So that Valiant Effort is pretty huge here. So he's just going to swing in with the Silver Bolt to see if he can KO the Snapdragon. He did put a 1 damage on any of us, so that's a misplay. That's a misplay on both of our parts. I should have. Oh, I guess no, he couldn't because I have the Hollow Matter on Lord Megatron. So he's gonna be swinging in for a ton of damage here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 damage here. And I flip 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. So it's gonna be 6. Let's see, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Swing for 10, 6, 5. Yeah. So he, unless he flips an orange, which he doesn't, we're only really taking 5 here, and we're gonna live by 1, which is pretty big on our part because that means he's gonna have to put the bolt damage on Superion into Snapdragon. But again, I guess that doesn't really matter too much because we had the Hollow Matter onto Lord Megatron anyway. And then yeah, he's definitely going to be combining at this point here. So he's going to be combining with, let's see, 8, 7, let's see, so 15, 19, 20 damage on him. A little bit better than what we had last time. I think game 1 he combined with only 18 damage on him. So it's a little bit better, but we still have a pretty large chunk of damage to go through for just 1 Lord Megatron here. But we might still be able, but I think it's gonna actually be a little bit better because he does have to put 4 on because he did shuffle while Megatron was in bot mode. So it's gonna put us a little bit closer into the race here. Yeah, so I think alright, so we're gonna start with a fusion bore and a flip and a belligerent, so that's gonna be a huge push of damage right here. Let's see, and we do flip 2 blues, so we're swinging for a pretty lofty 11, it looks like. Yep, 11. So he's going to be going straight to 34 here, I believe. So see, so this is what I'm kind of talking about. So this is like a big weakness of Superion. That was a pretty median belligerent's turn, all things considering. But you can just see like just having that belligerence and only being able to defend 1 of it is just so big for Superion. He's pretty well behind on the damage rates. Looks like he's only at 30 damage. I must have miscalculated here, but that's okay. That happens, and he's just gonna swing in for Pierce 7. It looks like. Right, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10 Pierce 7. Yeah, 10 Pierce 7. There we go, so we're going to be taking 7. We got 10 health left. We could potentially still live 1 more hit, depending on what he has in his hand here. He didn't play any other cards, so he must not have a whole lot of gold in his hand. So we're going to draw here. His deck is unfortunately not very close to scrapping, or to shuffling at all. He still probably has like at least 20 cards in his deck here. I am curious, do I flip? Let's see, I do composite armor here. Stand up. Flip, there we go. We're gonna system reboot here. Okay, so we're going for a risky play here. I think we're really pushing for the Lord Megatron ability here. It looks like it's actually much closer than I realized here, especially after the system reboot. So we're gonna swing. He does have tough 2, tough 3, so he's gonna be shuffling a ton of cards here. And we're just attacking for a meager 5, no pierce, so he doesn't take any damage. So it does actually shuffle here, so he does take 5 more damage from Lord Megatron's ability. I am actually surprised he actually got the shuffle here. This is another instance where if we had a weapon, it would have been a significantly larger chunk of damage than just the 5 from the +1 from composite armor. But I suppose it's better than nothing, and shouldn't really complain too much about it. Again, if I save the Energon Axe on for this Lord Megatron here, the trigger would have been a lot bigger of a hit. So just some more hindsight 2020. But again, that's kind of also part of like the problem with this list, right? Like the Lord Megatron sideboard is very strong, but but having the main deck not be super conducive, for lack of a better word, for this sideboard. You know, only running 1 Scoundrel's Blaster, only going to be able to put in 2 Composite Armors, 2 Hunger Downs, things like that. It just feels it feels pretty awkward. All things considered, like a Scoundrel's Blaster is kind of the premier weapon you often want to see with Megatron, because also part of his stratagem, he gets +1 attack and defense if he has a Decepticon upgrade. So Scoundrel Blaster becomes a +3/+1 defense, +3 attack, +1 defense weapon, which is super strong. And we're just gonna be defending. We had a pretty good defense here of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with the composite armor. And he's got an axe, so he's going to be swinging for 6, 7, 10, 11, 12. Pierce 3, 5, 6. So Pierce 6, we go to 16. We live by 1. Just 1 right here. And he is at 37 damage here from the Gaming Crash. Oh, and from the composite armor trigger. So we have to get, let's see, 5 damage on here? 6 damage, because he's at 43 health. So we're going to be flipping Lord Megatron here just to get a little extra boost in attack here, just in case he flies a horrendous flip on his tough, which it can happen for sure. So let's see what we got here. Definitely a really tough situation for me right now. 6 damage it seems like a kind of a lofty amount right now, depending on what we have in our hand, which I believe it was this game. I had a couple matches that I did, so I kind of, yeah, here we go. Yeah, I had a bigger they are in hands, but that's all I had can play. So we're just gonna have to swing in, hoping for 2 black pips, and we don't get there. So we're just gonna be hitting for Pierce 6 or Pierce 4, unfortunately. And that's pretty much gonna be the game, because they got the Pierce on board, and I only have 1 health left. So that's pretty much going to be it. So we go 2-0 against, or we lose 2-0 to the aerial bots. But there was some really fun matches there. Thanks to Nanotech again from the Vetch Simulator Discord for letting me record this match and play with them. I learned a lot from not just this match, but many of the other matches I had with this deck. There's a lot of changes to it. I have a video coming up here soon with the updates to the list and my thoughts on it. I just wanted to show you guys an example of what the list kind of does and some of the plays it can make, and also just to show things that are missing. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, have a fantastic day, and adios.